Friendslop is rampant among online gaming communities. It's a term that was coined alongside friend farming in March of 2025, according to Know Your Meme at least. And there's a few things that I think define a Friendslop game. While the game is usually playable in single player, the multiplayer aspect is far more appealing from a gameplay perspective, both because of the capabilities of the group and just the general enjoyment from playing with friends. Multiplayer also tends to coincide with in-game proximity chat, which just adds to the enjoyment and silliness of the game. There's nothing quite like hearing your friend's voice slowly drift as they fall off a cliff.
Oh, my brain. Wait, what?
Friendslop also tends to be simple in both mechanics and in graphic design choice of the game. These games are often modded by the community to add difficulty or novelty to an otherwise simple game. I think of Lethal Company, Repo, and Among Us as major titles for modded Friendslop games. Friendslop also tends to have extra customization options that are frequently expanded upon in these mods to allow for greater customization for players. People do love their cosmetics. I think the final aspect that I see in most Friendslop games is some kind of horror aspect or murder mystery whodunit.
Oh shit!
There is almost always some looming threat that drives the player or the party to an objective based on completion or survival. In games like Lethal Company and Repo, it's a cash objective where the party needs to meet a certain quota of money to complete the level, and failing to do so ends the game. In games like Among Us, the goal is simply to outlive your opponents by either killing the innocent or by sleuthing the guilty. In Friendslop, multiplayer is encouraged over playing in single player simply because the amount a person can do alone is typically far less than what can be done by the group, or it just isn't possible due to the nature of the game being a murder mystery social game. Even in co-op, the main objective is still sometimes secondary to having fun. In Repo, the main goal is to get money, at least in the game. However, it is also exceedingly easy and fun to lure monsters over to your friends and just die together just to mess with the group. The goal in this case is to create chaos and engage in shenanigans. The objective is secondary. In co-op, having a group with a shared objective is very important. If one person in the party wants to complete the in-game objective and another wants to sabotage the mission for the sake of clippable moments, the silly goose is more likely to win out. Co-op then becomes a task of working together on a common goal. At the end of the day, it's just a silly game, with players giving varying degrees of sincerity to the game's objective. Co-op is more about having a shared goal, whether it be shenanigans or in-game objectives. This isn't to say that shenanigans are the wrong way to play, not at all. Just playing around with the game's mechanics and messing with your friends can be super, super fun.
Hey. You wanna see what I got?
Sure. Ooh.
You wanna see what else I got? Step on it.
The goal of the game is to have fun, and whether that fun is derived from completing in-game objectives or from messing around with friends is irrelevant. The game is simply a medium to meet with friends and have a good time. Anyways, it's time for Peak. Peak, if you haven't seen it already, is a game in which the objective is to climb to the top of various mountains. Upon launching the game, there are two difficulties to beat, the Tenderfoot and normal Peak difficulties. The climbing mechanic borrows from many other games with a very familiar green stamina bar. The twist is that the stamina bar is an all-in-one status bar that displays climbing ability, statuses on the player like hunger, fall damage, poison, etc., and weight carried by the player. The player can also obtain extra stamina from certain foods and items in the game. The player can find extra resources as they climb to improve their ability to climb and also help their team members climb. This includes finding tools to gain more height or to help their party members reach higher destinations, health recovery, status clearing items, utility items like the binoculars or umbrella, or foodstuffs that, as mentioned before, can just add additional temporary stamina and increase the maximum stamina capacity of the player. But this extra stamina doesn't regenerate like the original stamina bar does. Like in other Friendslop games, there's also customization options. Notably different from other Friendslop games and just other games I've seen in general, the cosmetics are tied to in-game achievements. This is one of my personal favorite ways that I've ever seen cosmetics added to a game. It fosters a collaborative environment so that everyone can unlock the cosmetics they want, or groups can achievement farm together. In my experience, people are way more likely to work together since the goal of completing an achievement adds a goal for the group and individual together, which is way easier to plan for and entertain as a course of action than simply doing self-imposed challenges for fun. The collaboration involved in obtaining cosmetics is built into the game via the achievement system. On the surface, I think Peak has a lot in common with other Friendslop games. It's a multiplayer game with single-player capability and has customization options, though arguably done better than any other Friendslop game, with simple objectives and graphics that even your dad could understand. The only thing really missing from the typical Friendslop formula is the horror whodunit aspect. The closest thing to horror in this game is the Scoutmaster, and even he is pretty goofy after the first time you meet him. The beauty in Peak comes from what makes it unique from other Friendslop games, and how it plays around with the Friendslop identity. In Peak, it feels like co-op is way more encouraged than I've felt in other Friendslop games. Helping your friends actually feels good to do in this game. Being able to reach your hand out and help them up a cliff, and strategizing with your friends to accomplish a task is far more fulfilling and encouraged in Peak than messing with your friends by shoving them off a cliff. Though that is available if, you want to get the mod for that. A party has to share resources to complete a game that can essentially be boiled down to a simple go up to win. Part of the reason I think this game is so fulfilling is that it has closed lobbies to friends only. It means that there are fewer lobbies and that you have to have friends to play the game with, which can have downsides, but it also means that you as the player are more likely to enjoy the game and have a positive experience since you are choosing who you are playing with, rather than leaving it up to chance and potentially getting a sour lobby that has a different goal than you do. Multiplayer is finicky like that. But why is cooperation so much more fulfilling in this game? I think it's because there's a shared empathy between players. Everyone has some kind of loss aversion, and everyone knows that losing progress sucks. Each player has resources that can be beneficial for the group to reach the top, and when someone dies, it hurts the whole group, even if only one person falls. Purposefully pushing someone off of a cliff then becomes something that is detrimental to the whole group since they're losing resources that could have been helpful for them in the future. I personally relate this loss to progress in co-op board games like The Crew or Forbidden Island, where there is little or no benefit to sabotaging the group since it will just hurt the individual who is initiating the betrayal anyways. Even if someone does end up falling and dying, there's still hope for revival and having a comeback where someone or multiple people in the group lock in and make it to the next checkpoint. The simplicity of the game also makes it far more accessible to more people than might have otherwise played. The difficulty levels that unlock over the completion of each peak allows for multiple skill levels to play, or just to let players have a safety net to try the game and improve without the anxiety of needing to perform amazingly on the game that is new and unfamiliar to the player. There is still enough challenge on the higher difficulties and in achievements to allow more experienced gamers to have something that might be more engaging for them if they're really craving that challenge. I also really want to bring up the stamina bar again because it is excellently designed. It is literally an all-in-one status bar, making it so that even players who may not be as experienced in gaming in general are able to notice and see different ailments all in one location. And it's just such a simple and great solution to adding statuses to a game. The game is overall very whimsical. I think that the aspect that stands out the most are the achievements and cosmetics, but followed very closely behind is the diversity in the food. There are a whole bunch of different tricks to allow players to learn good and bad things in the game, and rewards them for remembering what was good and what was bad by not killing them or affecting them with negative ailments. For example, green fruits tend to be poisonous, and mushrooms with flaps are also poisonous. There's this really cute graphic by u/dumbpopsicle that I really like to use, and I share it with my friends whenever we play Peak. Adding on to the whimsy, the characters are just silly little guys like in any other game. The feeling isn't as juxtaposed to other Friendslop games, and it feels more like an Animal Crossing style game. It's just very lighthearted. Some things that I think other games can take away from Peak is that the whole genre doesn't need to be reinvented to make it fun and novel. Peak took an already familiar topic and made an entire game based around it. Climbing mechanics and stamina bars are already super prevalent in gaming. Peak saw that mechanic and took the opportunity to gamify a usually unfun part of gaming, at least for me, and turned it into a co-op game that involves strategy and resource management. Peak also shows that simplicity is a great way to allow multiple levels of experience to play a game. Complexity isn't a requirement to making game mechanics new, fun, and exciting. Once again, the stamina bar is a great example of taking something that is super simple and easily understood while adding new layers to make it feel new. The co-op in the game is all about having a shared goal where the objective is incentivized over sabotaging other people. I think this is what makes co-op in Peak, well, Peak. Well, that's all I have to talk about for this video. If you liked it, why not give it a like? And if you want more content like this, check out some of my other videos. And subscribe for future content, all that mumbo-jumbo jazz. I do this in my free time, so I can't really post as often as I'd like, but I do stream on Twitch sometimes, so you can catch me there playing some games sometimes. Been playing Silksong lately, and it's been pretty fun, not gonna lie. Highly recommend. That's the cake, I suppose. See you around.